What is up, friends? What's up, Billy? Shadows? Thank y'all for stopping by. It's an interesting question. I was actually going to talk about this myself. I haven't got a chance to play today, so I'm kind of curious what people's thoughts are. If anybody's gotten to play under the new DPS nerfs and what they thought. I have a buddy who likes to play Soldier. I think might be happy. Orisa feels a little better. Well, let's hope so, because she went from total garbage to like what? Just mostly garbage. I mean, the 4 to 5 is actually a pretty big increase as far as her halt is concerned. All right, we're here with the actual episode 1. Call last week's. Oh, nobody's on the call with me right now. I should turn that off. I was going to do the transition again, isn't it? Yep. Anyway, last week's was an episode 0. Just kind of a trial run and introduction to what I'm hoping to do here. This week, I think I'm going to do a self-VOD review. Cast a Contenders Trials match earlier today. What's up, Figgy? Halt radius was better and the speed feels better. That's good. That's good. I'm hoping it still has some use. She has some use. We didn't want main tanks completely dead, did we? I don't think we did. I don't think we did. We did see quite a bit of Winston in today's match. I'm wondering if that'll continue. Although Trials is running off the patch before today, just the nerfs to Orisa, Sigma, Brig, and all that. Probably try to. You're gonna make this into a video for CST? Okay, okay. Yeah, you go right ahead. I don't care. I gotta admit, I'm a little tired. You know, after some of those casts, I feel like I just give everything into it, just like pour all of my energy into it, and I'm just a little beat afterwards. But this is important to do. It's important to go back and rewatch your VODs, especially when they're fresh. And our first goal is really just find three things we like, find three things that we thought we could improve on. I mean, that's really what our goal is right out of the gate. Currently, with my own casting, I'm working on trying to not list, try to do more of a telling the overall story, and not really relying is not really a good term, but not using the kill feed as much. I mean, you still want to talk about the important kills, obviously, but finding a way to where it feels more fluid. And what's up, clean turd? Y'all go get masters. Y'all go get masters. Figgy Billy, I'd love to see that. So that's anyway. So I'm looking to see if I'm able to do that here in today's cast. If I'm able to keep a nice fluidity to it without listing. We looking to check for my crutch words, making sure I'm not using any filler or minimizing my filler as far as that's concerned. Oh, hey, my chat box is set for CGL. We should change that. CGL uses a white background. There we go. That looks better. What? Things move around just ever so slightly for seemingly no reason. My stream labels are just a little wonky. Sorry, the OCD's coming out, chat. Sorry. I'm not really OCD. I'm just anal. Anal retentive bastard. It happens. It happens. Hey, I like to think it's part of what makes me good at what I do. Attention to detail. But y'all are so kind to me as a community. I have to make sure, show my appreciation in every way I know how. And this is part of it. There we go. That's better. Oh, we're getting dad jokes early. Getting dad jokes early. All right, let's go find a good one. Everyone's joking around about getting me a dad joke book. I think that'd be hilarious. I think that'd be a good way to go. But we will be, once we're done here, we'll be taking a look at an NA Contenders Trials match between Kratos and Team Doge. I was casting with Thibbledork today. Oh, I like this. This is good. This is good. All right. How does Bastion work his day job? You know, he's an Omnic. How does he work his day job? Well, he sits in a corner and does absolutely nothing. All right, boom. That's your Overwatch themed dad joke. Courtesy of the clean turd. You're welcome. I hate it here. Appropriate, Billy. All right, let me get this game queued up. Oh, this could be a cool way to do this, actually. Nah, let's just go full screen. I was thinking about putting it kind of boxed in a little bit from another stream package that I had from another overlay that I was using, but it'll probably work better just in full screen. May set something up like that in the future. I would actually like to get a custom set of overlays done for caster class, so it's got its own look to it, its own vibe to it. We can uniquely build in, some screens and stuff to where I've guests, got room for cameras and that kind of thing. Maybe a screen that kind of set up my syllabus for each week, so y'all can kind of know, generally what's going on. I could slap that up there throughout the day, throughout the stream. Good question, Cleed Turd. Am I looking to cast some games for CGL next season? Or focusing on other stuff? Both. I plan to continue my work in the PC realm, doing contenders trials as much as they'll let me, and get good and all the other tournaments in between. But I was also planning to do as much for CGL's fall multi-tier tournament, as much as my schedule will allow. This summer has been super busy. So I would have liked to have cast more Goats games. I had a blast with the 1 million I did get to cast with the T4 PS4 finals. We had an absolute blast doing it, and I look forward to doing more. It's smaller production, but it's kind of more your own. There's you get more skunk moments, because you got me producing as well as observing and casting and doing the whole nine. So there's more errors to be made, but it's also you just kind of make it your own a little bit more, and I really like that aspect. And we have a lot of fun doing it. Are you getting paid for casting contenders trials? No, that is a volunteer position. All right, got this pulled up. Without further ado, let's get into it. Let's see how we did today. You know what? I'm gonna go. This isn't the right notebook. That's my notebook from Trials itself. I've got a notebook specifically for caster class. Bear with me 1 second. I'm gonna go grab it. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere, Chad. All right, I'm back. I missed you. Chad. Darn cord back behind me. Weird little things like that. And once you make the change, I mean, like having the cord behind me, I can't stand to have it in front of me now. Like, it just feels all up in my business. All right. I want to get my notepad because I do want to write these things down. It's always good to go back and review. I've got notes from every VOD review that's ever been done. And it's good to go back and assess which of those things you have improved on. Maybe, there could be tips in there where you're like, oh yeah, I hadn't really thought about that one lately. I need to implement that again. So always good to write down the notes, especially if you're doing your own self-VOD review. Whoops, knocking things over now. If you're doing your own self-VOD review, don't hesitate to go back and write down, like I said, 3 things you did well. Always good to focus on positive. You want to raise your highs. So it's not just about getting the mistakes out of the way and improving the bottom end so you don't make those mistakes. But the things that you do well up top, you want to raise those even higher as well. So higher highs and not so low lows. And you do that through positive reinforcement, and self-encouragement. And acknowledging, I did like this. I did like the way that turned out. And then you're critically thinking about why did it turn out that way? Why was that a better engagement that you cast than the previous one? And start doing that more and enhancing those things. So that's the hardest part for me, honestly, is finding the things that I felt like I did well and that I really liked about a cast. And it could be something as simple as I liked this phrasing, I liked this line that I used, I liked how we showed some personality during this section. It can be as broad or as specific as you like, but it's still important to find three things that you liked from that cast. And then to the critical side, you know, find three things, and this isn't about bashing yourself or just looking at how terrible you think you are or whatever. I mean, there's going to be self doubt when trying anything new, and I don't think anybody here or watching this is super experienced caster. If you are, thank you. I appreciate you showing up. But especially when you're new at something, there's gonna be doubt. You're gonna have these expectations, and there are certain parts of those expectations when approaching a new task that are accurate, but some of them are going to be unrealistic just because you're unfamiliar. And as you learn a new skill, you learn how complicated certain aspects of it really are, and then it can then become overwhelming. So it's important to have reasonable goals, and just to find a couple things that you're like, you know what, I could improve on that. It can be eliminating a crutch word, like here, or on the side of is a notorious one that me and Billy joke about a lot. Such as three ults on the side of, the kills were on the side of. That can definitely be a crutch word, but it's really anything that you're. Yeah, it applies to any skill. It applies to any skill, friends. It doesn't matter if you're learning to fly an airplane or learning to play Lucio. Like, it doesn't matter. There's going to be... Yeah, Billy, yeah. But there's going to be doubt, and there's going to be a point where knowledge starts surpassing your expectations and what you thought of it. And then once you really learn the nitty gritty, you find out there are areas that you didn't anticipate being difficult, or that you even needed to know at all. So it's one step at a time. It's one step at a time. Figgy's saying baby steps in chat, and it's absolutely true. And it's really just one foot in front of the other. And you're not going to fix all the mistakes all at once. I've got every VOD review I've pretty much ever done. I've got 3 pages of things to work on. And going even back to the very first VOD review with hexagrams, I guarantee you there's still things on that list that I still need to be working on. Despite, that was 8 months ago now. Wow, that was 8 months ago. Anyway. So we're looking for 3 things we can improve. 3 things that we liked about today's Trials cast. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the music as we get into this. That is from Harris Heller. He's a streamer and YouTuber, does a lot of work with the business side of content creation. Excellent stuff. Highly recommend it. And he's got a playlist that's all copyright free. So I think they've kind of dialed back a little bit on like banning streamers for having copyrighted music, but I'm not taking any chances, especially with the ideas of putting this on YouTube where they're certainly strict about it. Anyway, just wanted to give props out there where it was due, because I do like the music. It works well, and he's got a super badass stream. Alpha Gaming is his YouTube channel. And like I said, it's about the business of content creation. All right, this should be queued up. I'm just going to do a little volume check here real quick. That looks pretty good. Oh. There we go. There's my ugly mug.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to September Trials for Overwatch Contenders. My name is Bullskunk alongside Thibbledork, and I'm excited to get this week started. We're starting off with a heck of a match here, Thibble.
Yeah, this is a banger match, #LiveEvil. We're looking at Team Doge over here taking on a slightly reformed Kratos, only slightly. Some little changes, of course. This is tier 2.5. Changes are to be expected. But that said, overall fairly consistent between these two rosters, but that means that we have plenty to talk about because we can actually more accurately predict what the heck these guys are going to be doing.
Yeah, I think most noticeable change from Kratos is that we no longer see Maxwell in the DPS lineup. It is Ultima Wep coming in. And you were telling me this guy's got a long history in Overwatch.
Yeah, I mean, Ultimate Web has frankly been playing off and on, I would say, since 2016. The first team listed on his Liquipedia page, which is, of course, the holy gospel of Overwatch information, was Team Method, most notably known for their world firsts in World of Warcraft and things like that. They did attempt an Overwatch team long ago and far away in the before time.
Okay. So what I'm looking for here is to see how well we establish the story and set up the match. There, I think we got some good information out there, but I think we could have structured it a little bit better. And we had done prep. I've prepped for over 3 hours today for this match coming in, just getting all the backstory I could, watching some vods. Um, and there's information I wanted to get, and I think we get it out over the course of the cast. But you really want to start with general concepts and ideas, and get more specific with it as the cast goes on. And I think we're kind of starting a little specific. Now, I mean, part of it was just production. They want us to show rosters and they want us to talk about the rosters. So we're inserting some good information here as we're doing that. But I would like to talk a little bit more about some of the stakes coming in, though I think we get to it.
That didn't work, so he went on to join Bermuda, who were formed in the aftermath of Mirage Esports Electronique, which was a French Canadian team. And after Bermuda kind of fell apart and got lost, he then joined Noble, who have recently gone through some swaps. So he's been riding the wave here in Tier 2, not that he plays for Malibu. And now he has found his way onto Kratos after coming back in May after a few months break. So an extremely veteran presence on this team. I'm very curious to see how he slots into this team system.
We're keeping a sharp eye on Ultima Web. Also, new changes for Kratos. We got Specs coming in the tank lineup. Borkin is still around, still on the roster, but Specs perhaps more of a Sigma specialist or something that they could need to round out their roster. So Specs will be starting for him here today. And then Alexio coming in as you may notice that Gunther is no longer here with Kratos. Alexio will be the support to come in and replace him to accompany 6 feet and trying to keep Kratos alive and standing. Not a whole lot of changes from Doge, at least not since we saw him in the August tournament. Of course, you did had Aspen is one of the newcomers, and we'll have Naga and Hybrid in the damage role for those guys. Olivo returning to the team in the off tank as he makes his grand return to what was formerly Team Envy, and now back on Doge.
Right. Yeah. Lots of full circles coming around. Specs used to play on Revival very shortly.
It was a little
He played
sloppy.
there when Aspen was there, at least not as far as I can recall. But at the same time, they're being
There was a couple flubs in there. I could have done that better. Saying roster twice was not my intention. Yeah, I caught myself doing it, and then just in the heat of the moment did not have a better
put together
term.
regardless. The dates had other plans
Unluckers.
for them. And in general, I'm very interested to
Oh,
see
sorry, I didn't mean to
Team
do that.
Doge's roster isn't quite as deep as Kratos is. They have who are running 3 tanks and 3 supports in possible combination. But really, the execution of when they're going to swap in those players on those roles is kind of the big question for me today. Obviously, the meta has been in weird places lately, at least in ranked, and then how is that going to shake out in trials? Obviously, so you got to keep an eye on how these teams start to deploy those depth players, those specialists, perhaps, given the whims of the meta.
Yeah, speaking of meta, we are on the live patch. Well, the one that was live prior to today.
Yeah.
So we do get the shield nerfs, but we don't quite have all the DPS nerfs here in this patch this week, as we are going to start off on New Paul in this
New
best
Paul?
of 5
Really?
set, first to 3 set.
Yeah, we were thinking about having them play live for the patch.
It's not old Paul,
30 minutes
it's
ago,
new
but I
Paul.
think that might be a bit cruel.
That
so
could be a
we're
little
gonna-
cruel, sir.
Yeah, we're getting,
We're kind of a little flack.
right. I like bringing mayhem here and there, but generally only for my job and not for casting and trials. So we're going to let them play on
Yeah, Billy.
the older new patch. And we'll wait and see when the most recent changes to DPS heroes are integrated into the competitive format. But we are starting off here on Nepal Sanctum, which might be my favorite section submap, I suppose, of Nepal. One, because it has huge holes to throw people down, and two, just because
Always
the
fun.
structure of the map, yeah, right. The structure of the map really allows for some niche picks and lots of flexibility, lots of Overwatch rock paper scissors.
All right, let's get into
as
the
it
meat of
were.
this.
So we'll have to see how these two kind of start.
I will say before we get started, I did like the transition from when he was talking about meta into talking about what patch are we on. That actually felt pretty natural. So that would go into positives. All right, let's keep it going.
Counterplaying into one another in what is very often a hectic phase of Nepal.
Yeah, you got a lot of small corridors and then the big open area with the objective itself, which can be very difficult to hold just by standing on point. So you either want to push way forward and really get in the face of your opponents, or sit back and try to play the range. It's kind of tough to play the in-between. You risk getting knocked into that void.
Right, yeah. Setting up these
Clunky
mid-range
transition.
compositions on point can be tricky when there's so much displacement present.
It was just my
Teams
tone.
rolling
The
out
words were
here,
fine. My
not
tone was
quite
just
a mirror, interestingly,
odd.
especially at the tank line. We've got a Winston for Salieri, which is a favorite hero of his, and a Wrecking Ball for Specs, which I imagine is just his style.
But that will be the only difference between the two comps. Both teams run into Tracer Sombra.
that was a good
And just
transition.
big rotations from everybody right out of the gate. Little ring around the Sanctum. Hack comes out onto Specs. Wrecking Ball. A lot of danger when he can't roll around and do his displacement thing. Yeah, Ultimate Weapon in the back. Even things going, finds 2 kills. Finds 1, excuse me. The other one credited to Crawley. They're start things off strong. Moira and Winston missing here for Team Doge.
Yeah, I mean, you would think that the hack onto the Wrecking Ball is a little more impactful, but ultimately the hack onto A-Fox on the Moira actually prevented some extra burst healing from the Biotic Orb, which helped Kratos take down Salieri a little bit quicker. Winston doesn't have quite as much mobility once his jump cooldown is down, so that ends up being a quick early pick and an early first
Our timing here is so far pretty good.
13%.
See, he hands it off nicely, seeing the rotation. Thibble caught that he had room to talk and was able to finish out that thought and throws it nicely as the rotation comes around and Doge approaches onto the point. Our timing so far, from my eye test, seems pretty good.
To speak of in the ult department, you do have hybrid with a pulse bomb as well. Ultimate is hacked once again. Fox the target for default. They're trying to take down the Moira, settle for a pulse bomb onto Naga instead. Take Doja Sommer off the playing field, and now Doge caught in a small room, get burned down by a coalescence. Salieri and Elivo both fall under the pressure.
Right, and that pulse bomb.
And see, like, there, the focus was on Kratos because they were winning the fight. That was the team I was talking about. There was no need to mention Hybrid's Pulse Bomb because, well, not only did it not do much, but the focus was Kratos winning that fight, and me mentioning Hybrid's Pulse Bomb would have just been adding noise to the mix of the storyline there. And my storyline there was Doge got themselves caught in a small room, Kratos did a good job of corralling him, and then they used a couple of good ultimates to finish him off. Boom.
From Ultimate Web was actually stuck onto Elivote, and Naga was just unfortunately a little bit too close. So maybe some positioning misplays that he
Great
might have
catch by
looked back
Thibble
in
that
another life and another timeline.
Elivote was the one that
That
actually got
said,
stuck.
Both teams coming online with quite a few ultimates here. The Coalescence could be a good initiator, but we'll have to see how the EMP.
Although looking
shape
back, I wonder if he
between
wasn't
them.
seeing
Default has the
Krog's
advantage there.
Naga just catching up on the tail end.
But I think he
able
was
to
right.
get that EMP on the line. Perhaps can pull the trigger before default. Open this thing up for Doge to try to get some percentage started here. And so far, this has been all Kratos. It is Hybrid winning the Tracer duel. Now turning the attention on to the Diva. Probably gets D-Mech taken out. Just a Moira left on point for Doge gets this flip.
Yeah, see, I don't like that. I could have done that way better. That was my weakest line yet. And reason being is what I should have been talking about was the EMP and how wasted the EMP was. Because it's such a huge ultimate that even though it didn't have an impact on the fight, the story there was Doge was able to weather the EMP and come back and win the fight cleanly without using their own. That was the storyline there, and that was a missed opportunity for me. All right, so that's going in our negative slot. That one deserves a write down because that could have certainly been done better. What's our timestamp? Timestamp is 16:21, and I'm writing down missed opportunity on Kratos EMP. Boom. All right, keep it going.
Yeah, I mean
Throwing up some Jane's Eye in chat. I see you. I see you, Billy.
EMP was effective in that it got 3 people hacked, but ultimately there was a bit too much composure coming out from Team Doge to really feel the heat from it, as it were. The initial picks coming out were obviously very well timed. Even if half your team is hacked, if you have a man advantage and you're stuck together on point with some good healing coming through, there's not going to be enough follow-up to really get value out of that ultimate. Most importantly, though, Team Doge held on to almost all of their ultimates. Coalescence builds so fast, so you don't mind burning that, but otherwise they have all 6, and here goes the EMP.
EMP just finds the 1 and doesn't find 6. He's able to get the sound barrier out. Specs is going to go in and invest the mines to try to protect the team, and that'll take down Hybrid, but Kurari has fallen. It's a 5v5 here in Kratos' entryway. Now Alexio going to go ahead and invest the Coalescence, get the team out of the small hallway. Self-destruct invested by Team Doge, but just holding off Kratos momentarily. Oh, the boop! And Specs goes down into the well, does not have the hook to swing out. Aspen going with a pair of kills. Help Doge hang on.
Aspen is a Lucio after my own heart. She's always been such a fantastic and flexible support
That's a great
player.
pickup by
You might
Thibble there.
consider her more of a main support given her heroes, but really she's been able to swap onto pretty much anything. And I think we may have forgotten with the double flex support meta being so popular, but her Lucio is nothing to shake at.
Oh, the Coalescence Pulse Bomb combo just makes short work of Kratos in that fight. And Doge bouncing back with a strength here. One that we were expecting. We're expecting Doge to go a long way here in this first week of Trials. It's the first time we've seen him in Trials since their inception in early May.
Right.
Okay,
I, mean, they were
I
only
really
there
liked
because
what
they
I
had
did
to be,
there.
because they were a newly formed team in the ashes of.
I mean, Kratos is coming back with an EMP, but there's honestly not a whole lot to talk about as far as setup that's not immediately apparent already. So I liked taking the opportunity to kind of reinforce the team and give a little general story at this point in the cast. I actually did not mind that at all.
Team Envy's disassembly. Obviously, they pushed straight through, and they've been doing well ever since. This is frankly the lowest they've ever been, but if they're playing like this at their lowest, I would hate to see them at their highest.
They used a lot of ults in that last fight. It's the only thing coming for default to EMP. I think he got Salieri, but that was it. They do find that kill. Elevote falls as well, so no more takes standing for Doge. Specs, who is swapped over to the Hog, and now trying to lay control on the point, not allow Doge to get anywhere near. With the overtime wick burning, Kratos will find this flip.
So obviously Doge maintained a 99%. It's nothing really to complain about from their end, but they weren't able to really stagger out their ultimates well enough to maintain an advantage and secure the round right away. Kratos had the easy advantage on that fight, come in with an EMP, and here we go.
3-man EMP from the other side. Car's going to throw the self-destruct in and try to deny follow-up, but Specs already down. 6 feet falls as well. Now Doge turning their attention on to Crawley, who's just getting lower and lower. Somehow backs out, is able to stay alive. Ultimate trying to invest the pulse bomb, it finds Nada and ends up getting taken out by Salieri. And now the dueling laser beams over the objective. Both Moiras coming up with a kill. Salieri's going to drop the primal rage as Team Doge gets the point flipped over. Now they just got to clean it off, take this opening round.
Simple enough. There was really only one fight there for Doge where they didn't have an ult advantage, and it was pretty much the one fight they lost. Oh, towards the latter half of that round anyway. Obviously, Kratos starting off pretty strong before kind of burning out towards the end, though that was certainly a close round. I'm very curious to see, though, if Kratos can start to understand when they have...
I probably could have dialed down my energy on the back of it, but that's... I'm going to be me. And part of that is the passion and the energy that goes into it. So controlling it is important, and playing to your co-caster is important. I think there could have been a little more meat in the middle on that energy level is probably how I think is the best way to approach that. I could have probably dropped down my energy slightly, and Thibble may have kind of come up a little bit slightly with his energy to start, and then kind of go into his analytical tone. But the energy between the two just felt a little disjointed at the back end of the fight, because now we're done. Now we're in a lull where it's to be chill, bring it back down as we head into our second round.
And more concrete ultimate advantage, and really take advantage of that, and also understand, hey, let's only use this to win this fight. Because the key, especially on these control rounds, which tend to be a little shorter, is being able to maintain your advantage for as long as possible in as many fights as possible. And Doge obviously came out on top there. They had more fights where the ultimates were in their favor and where they were getting more value off of their EMPs from Naga versus from default. So let's see how they maintain that as we swap to a Pharah Mercy style from Team Doge.
And I think decisiveness is the key in that, and how you use your ultimates, who you're targeting with those ultimates as well. Both Tracers lighten up the kill feed early, finding a tank apiece. As you see, Kratos has swapped over to the Zarya Hog combination. Naga laid it a nice direct from down.
I didn't like that transition. I should have picked up. I had thoughts that I'd wanted to say on Thibble's previous point, but he did kind of the last sentence he swapped up his topics to touch on the comps. I should have kept going with that. That was a missed opportunity for a smoother transition, where I should have just picked up and started talking about the pharmacy, and Naga even gets first kill, which means that it should have bled into that opening kill very nicely and would have just made us look like geniuses, right? So that was a missed opportunity there. That one's getting written down. So we're looking at 2041 is my timestamp on this. And I'm going to say I should have picked up with the story about Pharah. Because that was an opportunity to really lay some groundwork for this entire next map. And knowing what I know now, the Pharah ended up having a huge impact. So if we had been talking about it and introed it at this stage, it would have just been brilliant. Like I said, we would have just looked like five heads.
Downtown takes Ultimate Web out of the fight. Doge's going to move on and try to get first control started here, but there's still a couple remaining members of Kratos left to deal with. You got both supports and both tanks trying to take up residence.
A three-word horror story for Tier 2 players across the world is Naga on Pharah. He is quite possibly the best Pharah in contenders in the world right now, which is not a sentiment I make lightly given the caliber of Pharah players in Korea and China. But consistently, when he gets to play that hero, he has been lights out. That said, the first capture rather actually does go over to Kratos. I think just their Deathball style utilize cover and take advantage of the angles that Defense Matrix allows you sort of style, mitigates the effectiveness of the Pharah a bit. And the Barrage did not get much value either, despite it being built so quickly. So Doge still had their work cut out for them, despite the advantage, perhaps, that Naga might give them on that hero.
Hybrid trying to work in through Kitchen, but is running in to default. He's keeping a sharp eye, keeping him in check. Pulse Bomb goes out into the middle from Hybrid, but that one, well, it was the Ultimas that got eaten up, and Hybrid's found Nada, so both Pulse Bomb going to waste. But Kratos finding themselves caught in a tiny corner. Huge ante.
I'm sure he knows about Yazan.
And Kratos just forced to get the heck out of Dodge.
But Yazan is beast. That's exactly who I was thinking of when he was talking about that.
I mean, this composition is definitely a huge amount of comfort picks for Team Doge. Afox on the Ana is another three-word
horror. I actually want to go back and listen to that fight again. Let's check that out again.
But consistently, when he gets to play that hero, he has been lights out. That said, the first capture rather actually does go over to Kratos. I think just their Deathball style utilize cover and take advantage of the angles.
I gotta find two more things I like, chat.
Sort of style mitigates the effectiveness of the Pharah a bit, and the Barrage did not get much value either, despite it being built so quickly. So Doge still had their work cut out for them, despite the advantage, perhaps, that Naga might give them on that hero.
Hybrid trying to work in through Kitchen, but is running in to default. He's keeping a sharp eye, keeping him in check. Pulse Bomb goes out into the middle from Hybrid, but that one, well, it was the Ultimas that got eaten up, and Hybrid's found Nada, so both Pulse Bomb going to waste. But Kratos finding themselves caught in a tiny corner. Huge ante onto the Roadhog, followed by a nice sleep. And Kratos just forced to get the heck out of Dodge and relinquish control at this point.
I mean, this composition is definitely a huge amount of comfort picks for Team Doge. Afox on the Ana is another three-word horror story for Tier 2 players across the world, getting great value off the anti-nades. Hybrid has been every...
There was a missed opportunity for a pun there. I even heard it. It's like, as I stopped talking, I should have said, get the heck out of Dodge and the heck away from Doge. That, I should have said it. I even thought about it, as Thibble's talking here, I'm sitting there thinking, damn, that was a missed opportunity for a funny. And that's You don't want to miss opportunities to inject your personality. Like that kind of stuff is where you can really separate yourself. And so, I mean, though it sounds kind of silly and I'm kind of saying it with a smile on my face, it's actually really important to not miss those opportunities to inject personality into your cast. All right. Going to 2220. Calling it missed opportunity for personality. Shit, I can do the dad joke thing, the play on words. I mean, it kind of suits my humor. All right, we got 3 things already that. See, like I said, it's easier for me at least to find the things that need improving.
Even on these small hitbox heroes like Moira.
I mean, I still have lots to improve on. I mean, that's just part of it.
So much pressure onto the backline here, and it really leaves Kratos in a catch-22. Do we focus on Naga, who's dealing huge amounts of damage from the air? Do we swap maybe to a McCree to try and counter that in some way? Or do you have to deal with that Tracer wreaking havoc in your backline?
Naga gets to the Nano, here comes the Barrage! Right over the top, that's going to get at least one Defense Matrix out to catch the rest. But a third of Kratos was already back in spawn. Naga raining rockets from above with absolute precision, keeping Doge in this fight.
So obviously a great fight win there for Doge.
I should have said keeping Doge in control. And I acknowledge that as soon as I said, but all in all, I liked that. What I really liked about that was the build-up. And I was kind of sitting there in my chair like, throw, Thibble, throw. Because I was getting hyped as it was happening. You could see, if he had given it to me here, I would have caught that ready for that far. Hype it up, Naga's about to just dive bomb him. So at this point, I'm like, here we go, come on, throw it. As soon as he gets the Nano,
here comes the Barrage!
Yep.
Right over the top, that's going to get at least one Defense Matrix out to catch the rest. But a third of Kratos was already back in spawn. Naga raining rockets from above.
But that's a bonus. Was starting to build the energy for the barrage before the barrage hit. So you could see it coming, you could feel it coming. And in my voice, I'm bringing the energy of here comes, and before he ever pressed Q. And knowing he was exactly that it was on its way. I already started saying the words. I already started building the energy with the fact that mentioning that he got the Nano, and the hype was just already building for what I knew was incoming. And the fact that he ends up getting a double kill and starting the fight off right just works out beautifully. The building of energy there was very good. That's going in the positives. We're at 22:53. We'll call it pre-energy. Pre-energy on Barrage. Where it built up, and even in a short time frame, because of a little bit of a late throw from Thibble, I still was able to build the excitement. I felt like it got it to an appropriate place for when the action actually happened.
Above with absolute precision, keeping Doge in this fight.
Should have said keeping Doge in control.
A great fight win there
That's okay,
for
though.
Doge, but maybe a little more expensive than they like. They invest 3 ultimates there, including both of their supports, and Kratos have 5 ultimates coming online. So it's certainly very even. It's nothing.
If I needed a
panic
closing
about,
sentence at all, I
but
probably
if
should have
Kratos
just
can
left
win
it
this
as
fight
is.
cheaply, maybe with just an EMP.
That was just me
bomb,
trying to bring my
then
energy
they
level
could be
back
in a
down.
really good position to take this round. That said, the bomb does not get much anything.
I don't know what that bomb was
No,
about.
EMP does find 3 inside the
Specs throws the bomb. I guess looking for Naga, but
Olive's going to get burned down by the Coalescence, and Kratos will win the fight, but it's just as you were fearing. Very expensive fight for Kratos indeed. 6 feet does manage to hold on to that sound barrier.
Which is huge, and can help them build up towards the whole hog and definitely towards the Coalescence.
Okay,
which
I
builds
liked
very
that too.
fast. But almost in the same
And
way,
I'll tell you
sure,
what I
that's a
liked
win
about
for
that
Kratos.
is Thibble set the stage. I was talking over a little bit here, but he's talking about Kratos' ult usage, and if they were disciplined with them and could throw them out in a very organized fashion, that they would have enough to hang on to win this next fight, which is excellent setting the stakes and telling the story. It's not just about the fight that's happening, but all the fights that follow thereafter. And Kratos does exactly what basically he told them not to do. Kratos throws everything in the kitchen sink at that fight except for sound barrier. So it's like the most impactful ultimate they have, maybe aside from EMP. At least it's fight saving ultimate. The most fight saving ultimate that they have, they hold on to. And we managed to hit these points. And so Thibble sets up the story. We talk about what happened and then relate back to what Thibble said and how it's going to play out like he had feared, is the way I put it. So that was a good positive, just in keeping the story going with that. So I'm writing down 23:45 is my timestamp. Keeping story going, ultimates. In parentheses, ultimates.
But now they're looking at an ultimate disadvantage. Maybe not as big as the other way around because the sound barrier is frankly massive. But coming up on both Take Ultimates and a Barrage into this next fight, or even the one after that, could mean that Doge have enough to finish out this round and take them out.
Kratos just needs to hold Doge off for one more fight. Can they do it? Good kill on a hybrid and Aspen to start things off. A strong start here for what could be Doge's last opportunity to take this round, not this map, but this round at least. Naga getting taken down with the Barrage in hand as the overtime wing starts to burn, and it's just all red jerseys on this point. Salieri's going to go ahead and invest Primal Rage, try to stick around, try to buy as much time for reinforcements to get back into this fight. Hybrid gets hacked up, deleted, overtime wake is deleted as well. We're tied up here in Nepal.
Definitely. Crazy
New Paul
rounds all the way through. Crowley and Default make for a hell of a duo, a hell of a couple of bruisers just kind of running around, picking and hacking people. There's not a whole lot you can do against it when you're... it's the classic meme of stunned, hacked, frozen, shattered, CC, dead. Like, the two of them combined makes for such a ridiculous duo on those two heroes, not only because of the damage they can put out, but because the way they can completely shut down.
Okay, I need to go refill my water. Be a good time to go hydrate. Oh. Here, let's... We'll throw a beer back. Alright, we're back. Y'all can see my sleepy doggo. I figure she's prettier than my ugly mug, so that's Poplin. That's my cheerleader. She likes to come lie on the couch next to me when I'm casting. Alright, let's get back into this thing.
Pretty much any one person they can get their hooks on. So solid early picks for cheap, most importantly, to start out that last fight. And they were able to build that into an ultimate advantage that they didn't even need to use.
In round number
they
3.
finished that round with 3 ultimates online. So that's the kind of cleanliness that you really need to finish out a round of control, and it's absolutely what they'll need to bring here on Shrine if they want to bring this back.
Oh, I didn't mean
and
to go to
win
that.
one.
When we were talking about Kratos need to be more decisive with their ult usage, maybe if they're just that efficient in the mid-fight, they can be a little willy-nilly with their ultimates. It's fun to watch either way. Speaking of fun to watch, we're going to have a pair of kills to open things up, one for each side, but it's Kratos missing their Moira, missing the large supply of healing that Moira provides, and therefore a lot of the sustain. Hybrid with a beautiful shot to take 6 feet out. We'll see if Doge can move in and take this point.
Right. I mean, even entry picks, but who was picked was more important. Even though Doge were not set up on the point after that first pick, the picks they were able to follow up with that, given the lack of healing and the intense damage provided by a damage boosted Ashe on the high ground, I mean, really makes life easy for Doge to get this first capture. Also, look at how well Hybrid's been pocketed. Aspen and Hybrid both have their ultimates online already. Whereas Kratos are still struggling to bring up past a third of their support ultimates. So this could be the beginning of quite a snowball for Doge.
Good hook pulls Elivote into a lot of danger, but Bob there to bail him out. There's a big Omnic Butler is just going to plant his feet, run Kratos away, not give them an opportunity to really get on the point like they'd like. Now Kratos is just kind of hiding in Mega Room, waiting for reinforcements to get back.
Yeah, simple enough to wait for the regroup here and try and make something happen, perhaps with this EMP. Get something. They at least get 2, but let's see if that turns into anything.
Naga gets taken out. Transcendence comes out from Fox's. Not in time to save Naga, but may keep the rest of the team alive and standing. Oh, Fox comes out of Transcendence just in time to get Pulse Bomb. Now it's going to be the Primal from Salieri.
Asked him over the word Transcendence.
Scattering Kratos in all directions. Down into the pit goes Crawley.
Right. So Default thought he could get something done there with the with the EMP. That would be interesting. Sombra just saying, "Yeah, totally, embrace the Iris." I know what that means.
That was a good joke there from Thibble. Kind of covering his own mistake with a joke. I like that. Also, I like the way he set up talking about the snowball potential. And I mean, it was okay. I could have said something about it and maybe had plussed that a little bit more. So, I mean, it's just, I'm kind of processing on that one. I didn't mind the way the play-by-play went out, but I think if I had touched, I mean, just even a closing thought on what he said or transitioning from his comment about the ultimate snowball into the ultimates we saw used on that previous fight, all the way back to when Bob was thrown on the point. I think that could have been plus a little bit more, but it's okay. It's not the most egregious
But
thing.
the EMP obviously does not get the Zenyatta, who is the most important component of that entire fight. The Transcendence completely nullifies the ultimate, and it gives Doge enough time to build up the tank ultimates, or rather, at least just the Primal that they really wanted to use there to stall things out, get a couple environmental kills, and of course I have cursed Salieri, he is now dead.
As he ate a big hook from Crawley there. But Hybrid getting a little revenge, finds one of their own. Back to a 5v5, but it's Kratos got their feet on this objective, looking to solidify
Crutchword.
the point. They do get the flip.
That one's new,
seemingly
too.
For free. That was a very cheap flip there, Thibble.
I'm saying
Now
too
we're
on
getting
objective too
some
much.
construct invested in.
Period. Need to weed that
Yeah,
one
found
out.
one. Yeah.
Right, the picks themselves are good to start, but it also what matters is who they picked off to start.
Right.
Salieri,
And I'll tell you, one of the best things you can do for crutch words is just go back. So you have a list of words that you tend to fall back on, that you repeat. It's one of your crutches. Just write out synonyms. Like, just right next to it. Just write out 5 different ways you can say that. And even if your crutch is starting to fall back on 5 different versions of the same word, or I mean, there's a lot of times when you're using the objective, when people are trying to get on the point, that's something that happens often in an Overwatch series. But having just different adjectives and stuff is what keeps it interesting, keeps it flavorful, keeps it fun. So, I mean, just literally going out and writing synonyms. I mean, if it's a word, if it's something like that, where my intention is they're getting control of the point. Something like here could just be eliminated altogether. Or this and this happened here, and here we have this about to happen, and such did here. That's one that I used to use a lot that I'm really trying to just flat out eliminate. But getting his feet planted on the point, that's something I need to come up with some more synonyms for that and just have several different phrases that if I'm going to fall back on it, at least I'm not falling back on the exact same phrase.
He is all of your front line. He is all of your shielding. And without that, you have to back away. And yes, the attempt at the re-engage is admirable, but ultimately not nearly enough to overcome the sort of brawling front line that Doge are bringing to bear here. Now, they don't necessarily have an ultimate advantage, but if they extend this fight long enough to build up 3 or 4 ultimates, which it looks like they're capable of doing if they're smart about it, this could go one way or another. Of course, I have absolutely cursed it once again. When will I learn my power?
It's Naga
I like his
finds
deadpan
3
delivery, though.
before getting hooked, and is able to avoid the final blow off the hook. Recalls out of there just in time. Hybrid there to take it down. Crawley falls into the kill out of Specs as well. The DPS duo showing up for Doge.
Oh, they've been insane. And I think Kratos heard me in the understanding of like, sure, we want to extend this fight and build ultimates, but they said, we shall do that by running directly at them and then getting killed by a Tracer. So you really have to think like the aggression there is kind of biting them in the butt. Now Doja at 99% with a decent brace of ults here to use. This could be pretty much over for Doge if they play this right.
Crawley's going to go ahead and throw down the whole hog in hopes of not letting that happen. 60 does have that sound barrier online. Kratos could be in a strong position to hold on to this thing. They're going to throw down the sound barrier to block the bomb. That's going to prompt a transcendence from Doge and allow the tanks to push in. Salieri and company trying to focus down the squishy, trying to focus on the supports, and that's going to prompt Salieri to pull out that whole hog, pull out the primal rage. Keep working to the back, but meanwhile, on the point, Crawley is cleaning up. No one can get near this Roadhog without eating a face full of scrap. The Naga picks off the Moira, then falls up the kill onto Crawley. With Crawley down, this thing might just be falling apart for Kratos.
Right, Default trying to be so patient there with that EMP. He knows that
I got a little bit behind. Part of that's just my style, and it's something I'm trying to balance.
Salieri, but they actually aren't able to focus him down before he can be unhacked, whatever the official word for that is, and activate his primal rage. Their plan was to solo EMP Salieri, burn him down, then Doge don't have their front line, and just like that, the fight a couple fights prior where they really just had to disengage because there was no frontline presence, they were hoping to do that again to recapture the point and buy themselves some more time. That said, the healing coming through from the Transcendence kept Salieri alive long enough that he could get his primal rage back, stall the fight out for reinforcements for Doge to come back, and win the round and win the map.
Salieri was just getting downright aggressive on the back. I mean, he had no cares in the world, just leaping into that back line. You get the final bits of that primal rage and split Kratos in half. Fantastic play from Doge, give him the 1-0 lead as we'll head into Junkertown for round number 2.
Oh, Junkertown. I mean, let's...
All right. I think we have seen enough. We've been going here for about an hour, and I don't want this class to feel like it just goes on forever. I'd rather keep it to nice hour blocks, something that maybe I could, with some help of some friends, maybe edit it down for a YouTube video or something. But also, I mean, one map is usually pretty good, and all the VOD reviews I've done, it usually just pick one map and go with it. So, maybe we do Junkertown next time, or we just do something more current next time. Also, if you haven't already, you can join my Discord, submit some VODs there if you're a caster wanting to get your stuff reviewed on stream. There's a place to do that there. But I guess in summary, so you're doing self-VOD reviews. You want to find 3 things you like, 3 things you can improve on. At the very least, I mean, you can set your own number, but I mean, at the very least, go back, find 3 of each, and that'll give you something to where it's one step at a time, moving forward. Make sure and find the positive reinforcement. Even self-encouragement. It's necessary to keep your highs moving up, and not just excuse me. Drink water too fast. Not just eliminate mistakes, but also get your highs even higher, and to improve the top end as well. So it's very important to focus on what you did right. So keep that in mind. Of course, the whole goal is to improve and get better and eliminate mistakes. So there is that as well. But I think we'll go ahead and bring it to a close. Don't try to fix everything all at once. Well, that's another important one. These things take time. And like I said early to start the stream, I mean, I still have notes from my VOD review in January that I have no doubt there are things in there that I can look back and go, yep, no, I still need to work on that. So, I mean, it takes time, one step at a time. And, yeah, well, I'll take those steps together. But that's the end of Caster Class Episode 1. I will be back here next Monday. I'm shooting for 7 Eastern, but I got delayed an hour because of this caster today, so forgive me, friends. But trying to keep on a steady schedule at 7 Eastern. Trying. I'll do my best. All right. Have a good night, friends. I'll talk to you soon.